Hi, I'm Kelly.
I'm Rich.
And we are Wonderbus Adventures.
Welcome to part 1 of our Victron install.
Today we'll be looking at
how we are laying this out on the electric board, which you saw us build in a previous video.
Wiring up a few components outside of the bus.
And explaining what these blue boxes do, in our layman's terms of course.
It's not a sponsored video in any shape or form, but we wanted to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, big thanks to Chris at Bespoke Solar who helped spec our system and has been on hand to answer every question we've had really. So thank you, Chris.
We hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, please leave us a comment below and give us a thumbs up. I'm not going to lie, the world of electrics is extremely daunting for me, and it's one part of the build I have not been looking forward to, and it has given me a bit of a headache. Luckily, we sat down with Chris and we worked out our estimated daily usage based on the appliances that we thought we were going to have in the bus, as well as the estimated duration that we'll be using them for. This resulted in us having approximately 2 kilowatt hours of energy per day, or that works out as 160 amps hours per day.
I, on the other hand, although I've been daunted, but I've been really looking forward to this bit of the build, can reveal that we've gone for a 12 volt system, mainly as it means that we don't have to run any step down conversion, and we only need to run one set of DC cables instead of like the 24 volt and the 12 volt stuff.
We are also aware that a few components would have only worked on 12 volts, and also that 12 volts components and accessories seem to be easier to come by too.
Do understand though that lots of people have run 24 volt systems in the Vario for good reasons, so it matches the voltage of the van. You can run smaller diameter cable so it's lighter, and one of the main reasons why people tend to do that actually is if their inverter or their loads are much higher than what we're going to be using. You know, if you're getting into the 3 to the 5,000 watt inverters, it makes sense to go 24 volt because you can run those smaller cables. For us, 1600 watts is more than enough for our needs. A few videos ago we showed you this battery bank. It's 680 amp hours in total, 170 amp hours each. They are Victron AGM supercycle batteries, which are considerably better than normal AGM batteries and significantly cheaper than lithium. One thing with AGM, you don't want to be discharging them to 100%, so these are good for 60 to 80% of discharge. We're going to set ours up to be a maximum of 70%. Now we've worked that out to be 476 amp hours of usable battery within this, which, if you remember earlier, we said we would be using 160 amp hours a day. So we know that our battery bank, if we were parked in a cave, if we had no other means of charging them, would last us 3 days on our maximum amount of usage. So probably for longer, and we're never ever ever, hopefully fingers crossed, ever going to get them any lower than that, and we're going to explain later how we're going to achieve that.
So that's how we spec'd our system, but what does that look like and how do we do it? Well,
first step I took was to basically mount all of my Victron stuff up where I wanted it placed.
Alright, I've got the box roughly laid out with the main components for this side that I've got. So I've got my MultiPlus here, which comprises basically the 12 volt 1600 watt inverter and a 70 amp battery charger. That's going to be mounted here directly to the backboard. I'm going to do that first.
To achieve this, you first got to remove the front cover, which is just attached with these 4 bolts, and then you kind of just prise it away gently, pull it towards you, and voila! It reveals something that looks a little bit like a Ghostbusters pack. Mounting the MultiPlus is fairly straightforward, so mine's a little bracket with just 3 screws at the top and then 2 at the bottom.
Now that the MultiPlus is mounted, we need to think about how we're going to run our 230 volt throughout the van, because that includes our shore powering and our internal AC circuits, and we've decided to do this via a small consumer unit.
In our install, I've decided to run the 230 volts out the back of our consumer unit, which does require you to mount it on fire resistant back in, so I'm going to need to put something behind ours. And that way we're going to keep our 230 volt and 12 volt separate. This box is going to be for our shore power in. I mounted that in a similar way with a similar set of glands. The next thing I did was think about the cables coming in and out of the MultiPlus. The shielding on this Arctic Flex cable is quite thick, so I've bought this new cable stripper that's made for the job, so I'm going to give that a go. It should be able to allow me to basically strip the cable right up to the point where it enters the gland or the consumer unit, give me a nice neat finish. My version of the MultiPlus comes with these little plugs. So I've got one for the AC in, one for the AC out. And then on here it's like clearly labelled where you've got the neutral, live and earth. And I just need to strip my cable, pop it in here. One thing I have noticed is the opening on this is quite slim. So we'll see how that fits around this flex, because obviously we don't want any of these wires showing. That cap doesn't look very big, so we'll see how that fits in a minute. It does fit in there just, it's a little bit of a stretch, not too much. It's in there nice and tight. This is the AC out one, so the other side. And then all that happens on my MultiPlus, it's slightly different actually from other models, is it just pushes in underneath and then clips in. And then I'm running my cable neatly out the back, clipping it up the back and then running it back into the consumer unit, just to keep the cable separate and out of the way of the DC cables really. Okay, so from our MultiPlus, this is our power in, which is coming down into my consumer unit. I've installed the consumer unit in the following way. So basically we have an RCBO here. An RCBO combines an RCD and an MCB in one compact unit. So normally you would have to have an RCD and then a double pole MCB next to it. This does the whole job in one unit. So our shore power comes in via this, so it's double pole protected and comes through up into the MultiPlus. So that's our shore power in, if it was plugged in. From there, it comes from the MultiPlus up into our consumer unit, into another double pole RCD, which then powers 3 MCBs. And we are going to be getting this checked by a qualified electrician. But this is how we're protecting our circuits within the van. The other things that need to come from the MultiPlus, so at the bottom here, you've got a mounting point basically for an earth, and that's an AC earth. Some people do run it straight to the Lynx, but I'm going to run it to the basically to the body on the AC side. The only two things that need to go in here are 2 RJ45 cables. One of them is going to run to the Cerbo, which is like the little brain of the whole thing. One of them is going to run to the remote control panel. It's going to be inside the vehicle, so I can switch it off and on via that. The neat thing though as well is with the Victron stuff, you can do it all via the app too. So we're going to be setting all that up as well.
We are currently on the way to Screwfix.
Need some little glands and stuff for the MultiPlus.
No?
A couple of other little things.
Yeah.
Wago boxes and things like that. Literally pounds worth of stuff, but we need to go and get it.
So off we go. We are officially at Screwfix. Rich has got in to get our packages. Dun 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 dun. They have it all.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. I just put on Instagram, you know the whole saws we bought the other week?
Yeah.
They're half price at the moment in there.
Screwfix.
Good grab on them because I would recommend. Very good whole saws. $19.99 at the moment.
Bargain.
The cuts in the hands. Oh,
Sterilise those cuts.
Those purchases allowed me to run some more cable from the consumer unit This is actually not from Screwfix, this is flexible marine cable. These two are J45 cables. So the one on the right hand side here runs to the Cerbo, and this one here runs to the control panel. Next I had to mount up the Cerbo, which needs quite a bit of space. The cable trunking that I'm using to basically hide all of my cables and stuff matches the Victron stuff, which makes me very happy, and I've got a little trick later to make it match even better. It's not easy to come by this stuff. I got it from Chris at Bespoke Solar. I know that someone will ask me where I got it from. God knows where he got it from, ask him. But I'm going to cut some more of it up now because I want it to go between this and the Cerbo. This will just look a hell of a lot neater. Also, like, because we're having the trail of wires everywhere in there, not only will they be secure, but if I need to run another one in the future, it's a lot easier than tacking them or hiding them behind the unit, as I've done with the 230 volt. Hoping I'm never going to have to touch that 230 volt stuff again, or add anything to it, because, you know, we're not going to use it much anyway, hopefully. But with this, we're likely to add things as we move along. So at least we've got a trail basically that comes all the way from the back door, up around the unit, into the electric cupboard, and literally all the way along the bus. So if we need to run anything, it can come in this stuff. Just like before in there, I'm putting washers in behind so it doesn't pull through the plastic. And Cal's making me some of these little cable clips, because the things going in here we're going to want to be probably adding to over time.
How many do you want?
4 please.
Okay.
This is the Cerbo GX, which you can see is really small, but it's going to have a lot of connectors and wires going into it. So this is the nerve centre of a bunch of things in our install, and it keeps an eye on everything really. So all the charging sources, to include the solar, the battery to battery, current draws are shown. It'll also send info from the batteries to the touchscreen, so our touchscreen 50, which we're going to install later. And it does so much, but we wanted to install it like this because we're going to have wires basically coming from all of our other things up into it. And that's why we needed to place it here.
This doohickey is a smart shunt, and basically what this does is measure the amount of power going into or leaving your battery bank and calculate how much you've got left. I'm mounting it on the end of my Lynx, but I quickly found that actually there's a mismatch in height, so it wobbles. I needed to even that out. What I'm going to do is use this. This is 3/4 inch copper bar by 1/4 inch copper bar, nice and thick. I'm going to make like a bridging plate, drill that out, and I can attach one to the other, put a washer underneath this, and then it'll be nice and level. So I'm going to chop that out, see how that fits. After making the copper bus bar, I cleaned it out with some rubbing alcohol, which left it looking like this. Then underneath the smart shunt, I placed 2 penny washers on each side, which levelled out the smart shunt with the top of the Lynx, so it no longer wobbles. And I basically had to take the Lynx apart to begin the next bit.
For the shunt here, you've got it now level, no wibbly wobbliness. This needs to be tightened up and a few washers put on here yet, but just for demonstration purposes. The copper bar is joined to the end of the Lynx to here. We can also have a lug here going straight out there to the body earth. This here is going to come around and out into the conduit to where the batteries are. This red wire here is required to give, obviously, the positive feed from the battery, and it can be placed in a few places really depending on your preference. The most logical place to put it is on the positive battery terminal, because then the shunt will be monitoring the batteries at all times to tell you what's in the battery, even if you have the main master switch off. Some people though, what they'll do is they'll actually put this inside the Lynx, so when you've got all of your power off, the shunt basically won't be drawing any power either, and then your batteries are just completely disconnected and dormant.
I think I'm going to connect it to the battery. Reason being is actually I want to know if the batteries are running down low, because for all intents and purposes that will allow me to plug in via shore power or go and make sure whatever is draining the battery is switched off when we're not using it. When we are using it, obviously it's a moot point because everything will be charging. I don't ever imagine me turning the solar panels off either, so the batteries shouldn't be discharged. I want to know the state of charging them at all times. On the other side of the shunt around here, there is a 3-pin connector, well, multi-pin connector for the VE bus cable. I'm going to get a shorter one of that, and that's going to run up in this conduit, up and around into my Cerbo, into one of these here. And once connected up to everything else, the MPPT, the MultiPlus, the Orion, they'll all talk to each other, but we'll get more into that in a future video. The final piece of equipment on this board is the Smart Battery Protect. So the job of this bad boy is to basically disconnect any loads if a set of parameters is met, i.e. the battery level is too low. Remember earlier I said that 70% is the maximum that we'd want to discharge our batteries to? Well, guess what? We're going to set this to 70%, and if that parameter is hit, it will switch off any non-essential loads, and in our case, basically the 12-volt supply, until the batteries are back up to a healthy percentage, and then it will switch everything else back on again. Okay, so the last couple of things to go over. We have our MPPT here. I'm going to be showing you how we're going to install that in the next video. This basically takes the energy harvested from our 960 watt solar panel and converts it into 70 amps of charge to charge our batteries, and then our batteries, as you've seen, go off and do power all of our other magical stuff. We've also got our Orion DC to DC charger here, so you'll notice it's a 24 volt bus transformed down to 12 volts, and that's going to give us 30 amps of charge as we're traveling along on our adventures. So 2 more sources of charge there for our system. That's the overview of our system. We've got all of this stuff to install as well in the new year: disconnects, control panels, all sorts of stuff.
Have a lovely Christmas and New Year, everyone, and we will see you soon.
Take care.
1, 2, 3.
Bye.